Okay, so today we're going to take a little break from the document to talk about hashtag change the channel as a movement and how everything just fell apart. Now, at this point, Change the Channel was championed by 4 or 5 people. Alison Pregler, Linkara, Mars Girl, newcomer Cinematic Venom, who was not a Channel Awesome producer at all, but was still a very key figure in the movement and one of the many factors that led to its final demise. And finally, Holly Brown, Channel Awesome's former human resources coordinator who helped construct the document and was a legitimate employee, by the way. Yeah, unlike the rest of these idiots, she actually signed a contract. And she, in my opinion, is the shadiest and most manipulative person in the entire saga, but we're going to save that for the next video when we talk about her, don't worry. But after the document initially dropped, weeks had gone by, and it was evident that it just didn't really have the effect that the producers were hoping. Some people were outraged and made videos about it, but it just wasn't the Harvey Weinstein-esque scandal that people were hoping it would be. People almost instantly forgot about it as soon as it was brought up, and Channel Awesome never gave these people any catharsis or satisfaction. When the document dropped, the company would release a statement and people were expecting them to apologize, but no. They stood their ground and they called the ex-producers a bunch of liars. Let's skim through the response along with a commentary from Cinematic Venom, shall we?
Channel Awesome also claims that Mike Ellis quit the company and that there was no communication from him since Sean exposed the sexual conversation to Mashad, but many former Channel Awesome producers claim otherwise.
What do you mean? They corroborated the story. Sean said someone was harassing him, he brought it to Mashad, and Mashad handled it. I mean, they literally said that no contact from Mike Ellis was attempted after the conversation Sean had with him, and Sean confirmed that too. So, Mashad did his job here.
No proof from the company is provided, just a screenshot of the Google Doc for some reason.
Well, no proof from the document was provided either. Sean just said that Ellis did this to him and we just have to believe him.
When discussing the website losing traffic after the Nostalgia Critic ended, instead of admitting they made a mistake, they actually blamed it on the fact that they switched to YouTube more because nothing can be their fault, you see?
Well, the site was losing its relevance. Many people were leaving at this point. Blip TV was dying and YouTube was becoming more lax with their restrictions.
In response to the producers being forced to work the anniversary specials unpaid and were poorly treated anyway, Channel Awesome literally responded by saying, well, you didn't have to do them. Look, that is literally the reply. Just read this. Look. This is a real company with adults.
I like how he doesn't even actually refute the argument here. It's just, wow, they really said they didn't have to participate in the anniversary films. Yeah, they're right. They didn't. They were volunteer opportunities. They weren't forced to do anything.
And in response to the management having sexist agendas, they can't be sexist because they've worked with other women who've had no problems whatsoever. Hitler couldn't have been an arsehole because he had thousands working with him.
That's not even remotely the same thing. Like, what? And they have a point. Like, if they hate women so much, why would they keep hiring them? Why do their current female staff have nothing negative to say about them? I mean, Beth Elderkin and Iron Liz are women who contributed to the document. Not once did they ever say anything about sexism.
Literally, they say, oh, this is the allegation. They're saying this. Fact is... No, we didn't do that. That's a fact. That's their proof.
Well, so did the people in the document. I mean, Sean Foss accuses Mike Ellis of sexual harassment and he provides no evidence. Jesu Otaku said he had these chat logs of abuse that he never shared. Alison Pregler said Doug laughed at her for using the word doofy with no way for her to prove that happened. And America says that Channel Awesome promised they would do all of this stuff for him and he never provided any evidence.
They show a screenshot where Lindsay chats to Doug about the rape implication scene into Boldly Flee where she's sending the audio and doesn't seem to have a problem with it. But again, Lindsay and Lewis had a fight for it to even be toned down, so by this point, of course they had given up and just did as they were told, so this screenshot proves nothing.
How does it not prove anything? They literally showed that she lied. She had every opportunity to have the scene cut out of the film entirely and she never took it. In the very chat log that you're showing us, Doug clearly says that he's leaning towards cutting the scene from the film completely, and Lindsay says that she doesn't care and leaves it up to Doug.
And to respond to Alison's claim that everyone was miserable on the film set, they show a clip that was on the DVD where Alison clearly praised the experience, but she doesn't even look or sound like she means what she says.
I thought I would just add, that it was a great production to be a part of. It was a lot of fun to be part of this and Suburban Nights. I hope that future projects are in the works.
I like how he edits a gun in front of Alison on the To Boldly Flee DVD behind the scenes video to imply that she was forced to say all of this, even though she literally said... So she wasn't forced to say any of that. Like, he even said, it doesn't sound like she means what she says.
But she doesn't even look or sound like she means what she says.
Yeah, because she's lying. I mean, you literally admitted that she's lying and you're still defending her. Like, why?
The only thing they admit is the lack of communication, but they claim that they're improving on it, which is another lie. You see, not long before this, they were bringing the cast together to shoot a 10-year anniversary special.
2018 being the 10-year anniversary of the website, the big milestone, rumours began to circulate that, they are making an anniversary film. And have you heard? Have you not heard? Ooh, there are rumours. Rumours.
I get an email asking me if I want to be a part of the Channel Awesome 10th anniversary special.
But once the cast started dropping like flies, it was ultimately cancelled.
So, what's the lie? The company wanted to do another anniversary film, but they couldn't get enough people on board, so it was cancelled. What's the lie? So yeah, that was basically Channel Awesome's response in a nutshell. I didn't go over everything they said since a lot of their responses involve Holly Brown, and I want to save most of that for the next video when we cover her, but we'll be coming back to the response later on down the road. But yeah, that was the bulk of the response, and a lot of people were mad at this because the company didn't apologize, but it kind of makes sense given this is a company being falsely accused of committing crimes and any admission of guilt could open up to unnecessary lawsuits. I mean, they were criticized for just cherry-picking what to respond to, but can you really blame them? If you've been watching my series, you'll know that we just read through 30-plus accounts of absolutely nothing. These people complain about the most insipid nonsense. They probably were cherry-picking to find something worth responding to and didn't think claims like Doug being too popular or Doug not liking anime or Doug not taking people out to dinner was worth any real rebuttal. Refuting accusations of committing fraud and other white-collar crimes are a bit more important, don't you think? And fun fact, Channel Awesome would actually never talk about these people again. This was the very last time any of the former contributors would be mentioned in any way. They dropped this statement and then they completely moved on. It's so funny how everybody hated this response and yet nobody really refuted anything Channel Awesome said in it. It was just, no apology, therefore they're wrong. That's it. It's kind of ridiculous to expect Channel Awesome to apologize in the first place. I mean, if you're alleging that something being said about you is not true, why would you apologize for it? Like, would you apologize to somebody if they called you a child molester? All hashtag Change the Channel managed to accomplish was Channel Awesome losing a few thousand subscribers on YouTube, then they gained them all back within months, and then life just sort of went on for the rest of the year. And ultimately, I don't know, I don't really know what this movement was supposed to accomplish, and, well, judging by the document, neither did the producers. Because in the document, they flat out state that they didn't even have an endgame in mind. While they really want an apology, they didn't actually expect to get one. They say the best that we can hope for is acknowledgement of any kind. Okay, well, in that you succeeded, didn't you? I mean, you did get an apology, and Channel Awesome acknowledged you. You know what I think? I think these people are cowards. They're the ones who are trying to start this movement and making this hashtag and talk about abuse and sexual harassment and mistreatment that people endured for a decade. But when it was clear that Channel Awesome was not going to apologize and stood their ground, they all just gave up, and the movement pretty much died. And that's very telling to me. I mean, think about it. Let's pretend that everything that Change the Channel said about Channel Awesome is true, and the document is 100% factually correct. Why are we giving up just because we didn't receive an apology? Who cares about the apology? This company committed crimes. I mean, they didn't feed their staff during filming the anniversary movies. Someone was left stuck to a wall until they passed out. They committed fraud via Kickstarter campaigns. They knew about a producer that sexually abused someone behind the scenes and didn't do anything about it. And their response to all of this was to call you people liars and ignore the trauma they put you through and tell you to go screw yourselves. But you're just gonna give up just because you didn't receive an apology. Like, what? If this company was truly guilty of criminal activity and they did this to me, I would be suing them for everything they've got. Like, why didn't any of you lawyer up? Why aren't we taking legal action? Why aren't we raising money for a lawyer or doing something? Like, guys, you're letting Michaud and Channel Awesome management get away with this. I mean, nothing changed. They didn't see the error of the ways or face any justice. They're not sorry. You're just letting them win. Like, we haven't accomplished anything here, guys. I mean, they publicly call you all a bunch of vindictive liars and you don't even care. Like, why aren't you pressing charges against these companies? I mean, abuse, sexual harassment, committing fraud. These are very serious crimes, and none of you are willing to fight back. What a bunch of maroons. I mean, they start this huge shitstorm, they don't even have the courage to finish it. I mean, look what Linkara says here. He completely resigns himself and says, well, I didn't get my apology. Oh well, lol. Despite him stating that people had been abused and treated like shit for years. Well, gee, Linkara, I'm sorry, but it's very clear that you don't care, given how easily you just gave up. And then there's Holly Brown, who as per the screenshot presented herself as a leader of the Change the Channel movement and said that she was part of the core team alongside Linkara, Allison, Marsgirl, and Suede, and here she is just giving up. I should also point out that this woman publicly stated in the document that Channel Awesome fired her when she was having surgery and said that they ruined her life. But that's it. No apology, we give up, we don't care. I guess screw all the people who were abused and treated like garbage for a decade, right? That right there is how you know that this movement was a complete farce from the beginning. These people never truly believed in anything that they were saying. The fact that they never tried to take any kind of legal action dictates to me that they never truly cared about any of these claims about abuse or mistreatment themselves. They were only doing this for the attention. I mean, they had so much goodwill and so many people rooting for them, and they never capitalized. It's like they thought Channel Awesome would just immediately lose support and fall apart without them, like they don't have to do any work to keep a movement going. Deep down, I think they knew all of their complaints were full of crap and most of this stuff was overblown and they brought it on themselves. Like, they did not have a case against this company at all. Like, they never actually cared about doing the right thing. I mean, if you suffered some kind of legally persecutable mistreatment while working with Channel Awesome, you would have immediately pursued charges against the company the second that mistreatment happened. But you didn't do that, because A, none of what these people went through was horrible or abusive or life-threatening, and B, the site still gave them ad revenue and it was still a viable source of income for them. It's only now, years later, when Doug was retiring and Blip TV went away, did all this Me Too stuff happen. Change the Channel ultimately fell apart due to a combination of hypocrisy, apathy, laziness, and carelessness. Until the movement was partially resurrected by cinematic Venom. And yes, I shaved my goatee and I changed my hat. So what? You gonna do something about it? My video, my rules. Now, Cinematic Venom is the internet moniker of Rob Boer. Rob is a British YouTuber who was making videos for a good part of a decade and, like many creators, was heavily inspired by the Channel Awesome review style. But it wasn't until 2019, a year after the document dropped, where he got his big break. He would release The Downfall of Channel Awesome documentary. This is a documentary where he would go over the entire controversy in detail for people who may or may not have even have heard of it.
So for the first time ever, we're going to go through absolutely everything, start to finish, from both sides, and find out what exactly happened with Channel Awesome.
Unfortunately, he does no such thing. Instead, all he did was retread the entire document in video format for a good hour and a half with some clips from various videos the ex-producers made talking about the controversy edited in. He was completely on the side of the producers from the very start. Not once was there anything resembling an attempt to try to tell the story from Channel Awesome's perspective. And how do we know? Well, because literally after he says he's going to look at the situation from both sides, he goes and does this.
And this has nothing to do with the fact that they actually haven't been funny in years.
I'm not having us as the X-Men!
Then why'd you have us in the intro?
I just told the animator to draw something cool!
And it has nothing to do with the fact that they constantly insult anyone who disagrees with their opinions.
This movie sucked! It sucked! This movie fucking sucked!
So yeah, he never wanted to be impartial, he immediately chose a side, which is something you really don't want to do in making a documentary. In documentaries, you need to present the facts as they are and let the viewer come to their own conclusion. He would even admit in a later video that we're going to go over that the documentary was completely biased and he never even tried to see anything from Channel Awesome's perspective.
I made the Channel Awesome documentary as an outsider, and despite many times denying it, it was clearly biased. But I made absolutely no attempt to contact anyone at Channel Awesome before making the documentary, and I should have. It's impossible to tell the story from Channel Awesome's side when they've refused to tell it.
No, they did tell their side of the story, and you guys just got upset because they didn't apologize. Big difference. But I digress. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but here are some highlights from the whole video.
What the hell happened to me? I used to be the clown prince of comedy!
Doug scrapped the Nostalgia Critic character, believing that it was time to move on, hiring new actors Malcolm Ray and Rachel Teets for a hit new original show called Demo Reel.
What is Demo Reel?
It was a complete rip-off of Be Kind Rewind.
You mean like how you and 90% of the former contributors were just rip-offs of the Nostalgia Critic?
In January of 2015, longtime Channel Awesome producer Obscurus Looper, real name Allison, was fired from the website.
You probably noticed from the things that I've written about this that I have a huge problem, not just with Mike Mashad, but with Rob Walker and with Doug Walker, because they are complicit in this.
Well, so are you, Allison. I mean, based on everything I've read about you, it's clear that you never cared about any of the abuse when it was happening behind the scenes either, because the site was still filling your pockets. I mean, for all your talk of harassment and abuse and sexism, the fact remains is that you never left. In spite of everything that you claimed you went through, you stayed until you were kicked off. I mean, you want to say that everyone was miserable when filming To Boldly Flee and you hated being a part of it, yet in the behind-the-scenes footage, you say the complete opposite.
It was a great production to be a part of. It was a lot of fun to be part of this and Suburban Nights. I hope that future projects are in the works. I love being a part of this site and a part of these productions.
So if we're taking you at your word, that means that you knew all of these horrible things were happening behind the scenes, and you never did anything about it. You didn't care. Instead, you blatantly lied about it and said that everything was all peaches and cream just to suck up to the same people that you're now calling abusive and sexist and horrible. In fact, the only reason that you spoke up at all was because people kept talking to you like you and Doug were friends on Twitter.
And a lot of people would assume that Doug and I are friends, and they would talk about him to me. I'd just gotten one too many of these things. Someone asked me about Doug on Twitter. For the first time in a while, I said something. I said, look, he treated us awfully. I don't like him.
And that really begs the question, would Allison have spoken up at all if people didn't ask her? Sorry, lady, but you just don't look good regardless of how you try to twist things.
But there were times when they said some really hurtful things and did some hurtful things. And they were part of decisions that affected us.
You didn't work there, lady. There was no contract binding you to the site. You could have left any time.
And it wasn't until after everybody else had left when Allison was confronted by Mike Machad, who lambasted her for using mid-rolls in her videos.
No, she was confronted with her overuse of mid-rolls, which she clearly admitted to doing.
And whatever you want to say about the mid-rolls, the way that he handled this was really just atrocious, and it made me really uncomfortable. And I cried in the bathroom in the studio because I was so upset over this.
Did a real job ever occur to you?
To his credit, Doug did console Allison, who was upset over this ordeal, and he claimed that he'd look into it. They soon had a Skype call not long after, but none of Mike's unprofessionalism and bullying was ever mentioned.
How? You never really explained how he bullied anyone. I mean, just because Allison can't handle some bad news doesn't mean she was bullied.
She was then asked for a Skype call, but she was away from the computer for 15 minutes. And because she didn't reply in those 15 minutes, because she was filming more videos which they wanted, she was fired. And she's provided screenshots proving this.
No, the screenshots clearly show Machad asking her if she's available for a call, and she says no. And then she ignores him when he immediately asks when she would be available. And then 2 hours later, he asks her again, and he still didn't get a response. So it's safe to assume that this woman was simply wasting time. I mean, she spent 18 pages in the document whining about how much she hated being on the site and hated management and hated not being able to use mid-rolls and hated this and hated that and I hate the anniversaries, but we need to feel sorry for her now because she got kicked off? Yeah, no, sorry, not sorry.
Imagine just going to the shop for 15 minutes, come back, oh, that's it, you've lost your job.
That is not what happened to her at all. Your English teachers failed you, Venom. And you're actually from England. I mean, you should speak it better than me.
We wanted to take a moment to clear the air and acknowledge some of the recent public concerns raised by content creators previously associated with Channel Awesome. For the people who have spoken out about past instances they deemed hurtful or unprofessional, we sincerely regret you felt that way.
That you feel that way. Not that we did something. Not that we did something. We regret that you feel like we did a thing to you.
Well, guys, they're a company. They're not going to admit to any wrongdoing. That's just setting people up to easily cash in on a frivolous lawsuit.
I'm gonna guess that the way this was worded escaped them for how bad it sounded. But telling someone that you regret that they felt you were unprofessional is fucked up.
Says the man who accused the company of sexual harassment with no evidence whatsoever.
They were placing the blame on the people who were wronged. And that's been their typical response to a lot of things.
Well, a lot of it was your own fault, guys. I mean, don't work for free.
Our priority has always been to help content partners succeed and provide people a vehicle to follow their dreams.
That was not your priority in the slightest.
When the need arose, we have distanced ourselves from people who were particularly callous, letting go of significant stakeholders in the interest of keeping our mission at the forefront.
What stakeholders, assholes? The only people holding any stake in your company are your band of dudes up there in Chicago.
Yeah, the only people holding stake in your company are your stakeholders. Probably sounded a lot smarter in my head.
You don't like what we do? Well, we don't like the way you said that. So we don't have to address it.
Our focus now is on moving forward with the wonderful team we have and all our dedicated followers. We want to make our collective future the best it possibly can be.
Then fucking do it. Fucking do it 8 years ago.
Mars Girl, just stop, okay? Just stop. I know that you're gone from the site now and you're trying to act like some strong-willed woman standing up for yourself, but it's not working, okay? You hid away from management and you never bothered to say anything to their face when you had the chance. You literally admitted to refusing to log into Skype for months at a time, all because you were so scared of Mike Machad being mean to you. You even said, I couldn't sit by and watch Channel Awesome abuse my friends, but you didn't even do anything to help your friends. You just left a song in a Channel Awesome group chat and vamoosed. Then you started crying about how the site didn't care about giving you some kind of farewell message or how they forgot to film you in a shot in a scene. So, just drop the tough girl act, lady. It's not fooling anyone. You're not a badass. You're a coward. So stop pretending.
Naturally, this non-apology wasn't very well received, most agreeing that the company were ignoring everything and putting the blame on everybody else.
Oh god, this apology garbage. Ugh. Everybody here is just so naive. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and explain to all of you in excruciating detail why Channel Awesome did not apologize.
Let's just think about the logic, shall we? Let's just think about it for a second.
Okay, you ready? Here we go. Channel Awesome issuing a public apology to the ex-producers was never going to happen. And it was ridiculous to expect one. Because the company, for one, clearly just doesn't believe that they were at fault for any wrongdoings. And if they did apologize, then they would be admitting to things that are simply not true. I mean, the document has many provable lies in it already. Seriously, watch the rest of my videos, you'll see that. Also, you'll have to look at this from a company perspective. You see, Channel Awesome has a staff of legitimate workers that they actually pay. You know, Malcolm Ray, Tamara Chambers, Jim Giraz. It's their real jobs, unlike the former independent associates who worked for free. Okay? The company has no legal responsibilities towards anyone in this document, not even Holly, since she was fired. Channel Awesome needs to look out for number one. And bending the knee and disrupting their revenue stream to appease a bunch of disgruntled, angry ex-producers looking to be validated simply isn't a good business move. Furthermore, apologies are chiefly means of reconciliation. A good chunk of the producers have zero intention of actually reconciling. Channel Awesome clearly doesn't need these producers, and the business model clearly wasn't working for the producers, so they left, and that's that. Move on. A demand for an apology is just petty and an excuse for irrational and overreactionary people to just keep crying and whining about it on the internet. Also, Channel Awesome doesn't have to apologize. That's always been up to the company, and they just don't feel like they owe one. It seems to me that you people are just angry and are trying to guilt and shame them into submission. And that's not how you make amends or make things right. You're just trying to force someone to do what you want. Besides, even if Channel Awesome were to apologize, would it have been accepted? Because remember, Spoonie made an insensitive joke towards Jesu Otaku, and he apologized for it, and then a month later, people brought it back up again, and that led to him leaving the site. So, nah, an insincere, forced apology, that wasn't going to solve anything. Sorry guys, but you just needed to get over it.
I just want an apology, even if you don't mean it!
However, on April the 2nd, 2018, a Google Doc was made listing everybody's frustrations with the company. And you bet your ass we're going to go through the entire thing, but we're going to look at it from both sides.
No, you're not. Just get on with it.
But remember, this document was made by people in the company who worked for the company.
Wrong. It was made by people who were independent contributors and not official employees, so their interactions with real employees and the knowledge behind the scenes would actually be a lot lesser than you would believe.
So we do have to give them a bit more trust in what they're saying. We don't know. I've never met these people.
If you've never met any of these people, why are you taking everything they say at face value and defending them so much?
We need to be open-minded and just hear them out and hear what they have to say. But now, apparently the people who worked for them and worked with them, they know nothing. But the fans who watch them on YouTube, they know what's up.
Just believe them. They wrote a 70-page document, therefore they're right.
But they were given the company their own free time and effort without being paid, and they were still treated poorly on set.
Doug is a terrible director. It was shitty because the organization was just shit. They had no storyboarding or just basic skills to make a movie, and Doug is so obtuse and think he can manage everything, and you can't, mate. You can't.
Okay, that's just a petty complaint that this guy is using to insult someone he doesn't like.
I had a scene where I was just standing in the background, and the only thing I had to do in that scene was to body react to what they were saying. Well, at least I had no indications. And they say, we have to reshoot that scene because something went wrong. And it was getting late, and they would let some producer leave because they didn't have anything more to film. They tell me, no, you have to stay because we have to reshoot that scene with Lindsay and Linkara, and you appear in the shot, so you have to be there. Yeah, okay, I'm going to body act the shit out of this. And they film the scene, and I'm doing my stuff, and Doug is like really happy with the scene, so Pala, you was good. And then I realized when the movie was out, they cropped me out of the scene.
Well, sorry dude, but that's filmmaking. It's not easy. And sometimes the director will cut things out to better portray his vision. Not everything that's filmed is going to make it into the final cut. Oh well, c'est la vie.
There were many instances when a man did something wrong, but instead of confronting them about it, they blamed the female that they knew instead.
Really? Because I thought it was anyone who said anything was a troublemaker, but now it's just women.
I mean, Spoonie once made an insensitive rape joke and was fired, but was also given a huge send-off and still brought back for cameos and well respected.
He didn't get fired, he got suspended. Then he left the site on his own accord.
Noah didn't get fired either. Noah was suspended for a second, and then decided, you can't suspend me, I quit.
You even included Mars Girl explicitly stating that he didn't get fired, but still said that he did. Well, brilliant retelling of the facts there, buddy. You just contradicted yourself and kept that screw-up in your documentary.
Spoonie, real name Noah, posted things on Twitter and it turned out that he had bipolar disorder. He lashed out further and Allison was given death threats. Allison was then blamed as people felt like she got him fired, but Noah confirmed that it wasn't the case. However, the actual company publicly said nothing on the matter to defend her.
Why would the company jump in to defend her? This is a personal beef between Allison and Noah. A beef that Allison started, by the way.
He also kept everyone informed through his Skype chat, so if you weren't at your PC and missed an important message, you were screwed.
Exchange phone numbers then. Create a Facebook group. I mean, do something for Christ's sake.
Rob Walker was one of the CEOs to deal with issues, but he avoided the problems at all costs and called the producers children behind their backs.
They are children. I mean, there's literally complaints about Doug not throwing people parties and not promoting anime.
And apparently Rob confused Welshie and me. Because we're working as a duo, and of course Welshie, the Welsh guy, the ginger Welsh guy with glasses, and me, Panda, with brown hair, no glasses.
The guy rarely ever sees you and he accidentally mixed you up with somebody else. It's not the end of the world. Let it go, mon ami.
Blistered Thumbs was a section of the site dedicated to video games, but this was shut down and many of the producers weren't even informed until it was on the front page of the website. The entire site was clearly about Doug and Doug alone. The other producers never got a look in.
Unless the producers were putting stuff up on Blistered Thumbs, they didn't really have any need to know. And yeah, of course the site was about Doug. Doug was Channel Awesome, guys. He helped make the site. He was the draw. People went to the site to watch the Nostalgia Critic and his content. That's how the other producers would be discovered. You know, that was a large appeal of being a producer on the channel. Maybe these people should have been working harder and uploaded videos to the site instead of sitting on things for months.
And we stopped the first scene and cut. And Spoonie's like, oh, that's good, Panda. I mean, that's really your humor. It works well. I was flattered, you know, because I like Spoonie's work and he was complimenting me. But Doug was like, no, you should say it like this, you know? And I was like, what? Well, say it like this, you know, like a cartoony character. I was like, but that's not me. And Doug was like, yeah, but I think it would be funny. I said, hey, hold on, I had to stop because he asked me several times to do that and I wouldn't.
Oui, you see, my boss, he kept asking me to do my job and I would not do it. That makes me the victim, ho ho. Real talk, did you guys ever consider that part of the reason these anniversary shoots didn't go so well is because you flat out refused to follow direction and kept holding up the filming schedule? Food for thought.
I'm the Nostalgia Critic, and I can be a cock muppet and do whatever I want, because everybody knows who I am!
Lindsay, who played Nostalgia Chick, asked about catering, and Doug literally laughed at her. It was only sorted once Noah pointed out that even student films provided catering.
Actually, she just asked about coffee, and Doug laughed at her because she couldn't properly explain what she was talking about.
During the filming of Suburban Nights, one actress was taped to a wall for so long she nearly passed out.
Incorrect.
And due to the weather and their revealing costumes, people nearly fell ill. Doug, again to his credit, nearly called off the production due to the poor conditions and gave the actors the choice. All of which decided to support him and continue along.
Well, that's on everybody else then. They brought that on themselves. They don't have the right to complain about how bad the shoot was when you unanimously agreed to keep filming anyway. Don't put yourself in that position next time, guys. Sorry.
It's common for abuse victims to stay quiet out of fear. These were small producers compared to Doug, and Channel Awesome was their main source of income and views, so it's obviously normal to put up with it for your own well-being. They had families to support.
No, that is complete nonsense. First off, these people didn't sign any contracts and weren't legally binded to the site, so what was there to be afraid of? Second, dear Lord, if this was your main source of income and you have families to support and bills to pay, you gotta get real jobs, people. You can't just make little internet videos. I mean, if this was true, most of you people would be out on the street in no time.
I basically relied on Channel Awesome for most of my views, and I just wasn't ready to leave.
Yeah, I wasn't ready to actually work for a living.
Furthermore, he didn't even tell anyone that he had plans to kill off his character. They only found out in the script. He did briefly run it by Allison and Todd in the shadows so they could mention a few things in their videos to set up a subplot, but even then it was really randomly timed in the conversation considering it was a big deal.
Shouldn't they have been happy? Wasn't their complaint that the Nostalgia Critic took up too much of the site? Didn't they say that there wasn't a better site to post videos on at the time anyway?
There's a scene where Linkara's robotic double Mechakara attacks the nostalgia chick and turns her into a machine herself, but it's edited and implied that she's being raped off screen.
But the audience was clearly shown that she wasn't being raped, so what was the point of the complaint?
There's also a scene where Lindsay was to fight Allison. Lindsay wasn't a fan of the cat fight and expressed this to Doug on set, but he just yelled at them both to just do it anyway.
No, that's wrong. The document clearly says that Doug's response was just to make them do it. You're the one talking about him yelling at them. Besides, the complaint of the document is worded so vaguely. I mean, for all we know, Doug was in the right and wanted these two to hurry up and stop holding up the production. Then, in Cinematic Venom's documentary defending Change the Channel, he then proceeds to completely undermine everyone's complaints by pointing out how petty they are.
Now, a lot of these seem petty, and I agree that they seem petty.
Which they are, he's right. These complaints are all petty as hell.
But these people were already feeling miserable, so it's just kind of an addition. It's added on to all the other years where they felt like crap.
Well, maybe they shouldn't have put themselves in that position then? I mean, how do you work for somewhere for free for a decade and then act like you're not complicit in your own misery? These people are stupid.
And myself and other producers were asked if we wanted to make some short films. I made a short mockumentary, which was called Internet Dating and Me, and I was actually given a budget for the film, that budget being $0. But they did take my film, slap it on the DVD, charge people for it, and make money. To which I made a grand total of F all.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so you made a video for them and gave it to them for free of charge, but you're upset that they are making money off of it. Mike J, I like you, man, but that's just terrible judgment. That's stupid, and it's totally on you. I mean, for Christ's sake, this is basic business 101. You never once thought to ask for a contract or negotiate a deal with them, ensuring that you would get a cut of the revenue? I mean, buddy, you can't work for free and then complain about not getting paid.
Mars Girl, Rowan and Kaylin, had been a part of the site since pretty much the start, but right away she was told to hand her videos over to the company for them to upload and literally take the ad revenue from, promising to reimburse her, but they never did.
And sign a contract, idiot.
Very often her videos were mistitled, and once she corrected it online, Mishad insulted her for making him look bad. But Kaylin, by her own admission, was young and unsure how to deal, took the blame and apologised endlessly.
That is not what happened. Kaylin gave Mishad a vague description about her video instead of just giving him the title, and Mishad titled the video based on the description he was given, which was poorly received by the public as that's not what the video was intended to be called at all. This would not have happened had Kaylin just gave Mishad the video title. He has every right to be annoyed with her. I don't know, man. So far, this documentary is not winning me over. I know the producers are full of it, but Venom's not being honest either. He is twisting and turning things out of context just to make the producers look good.
There's also a problem that she was friends with Screw Attack, a video game-based company. They were seen as Channel Awesome's rivals and didn't want Kaylin associated with them in case they stole her away, which makes about as much sense as a Chocolate Fire Guard, considering Screw Attack was affiliated with the angry video game nerd who often worked with Doug himself.
Yeah, but unlike Mars Girl, people actually watch the angry video game nerd, so it kind of makes sense for him and Doug to collaborate and draw more eyes to the site, and there was no need to be concerned with Doug leaving the site. But to play devil's advocate here, it is very stupid of Mishad to tell Mars Girl not to interact with Screw Attack because she doesn't actually work for him.
The producers also had to make their own costumes for the anniversary movies, which would be reimbursed financially, but they also had to hand over the costumes they had slaved over, which Kaylin refused to do.
Okay, so they were going to pay her back, she just needed to give them her costume, and she refused to do that. Oh well.
Once they wrapped up to boldly flee, Kaylin and the others felt like they had been used. The company had scrapped the anniversary movies and confirmed that no more were being made, all because Doug's show was ending. They felt like that was it, and they were now completely useless, just because Doug wasn't doing his anymore.
You guys just said that you hated doing the anniversary movies and were always miserable. Now you're upset because they're not doing any more. Make up your minds.
So what it ended up with was a scenario where these people aren't Doug, they're not Brad, they're not...
Hey, look, it's the guy who hates Doug because he doesn't like anime.
You didn't post 2 videos a month, immediate ban hammer.
Dude, there's like a huge hole in his wall. Like, what happened there?
And when push comes to shove, remember I own Nostalgia Critic. It does not belong to Doug. Da 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 da.
At least Doug can sing, sweetheart.
They have no idea what they're doing.
Neither did any of you.
Out to make his own movie based on his Atop the Fourth Wall video series, funded by his own fans, but the studio space required was considered far too expensive. He reached out to Mishad and Rob Walker to use the Chicago studio. Rob was open to the idea, but Mishad refused, claiming that it would ruin the Nostalgia Critic's schedule, and that they would need to be supervised at all times. Because apparently 10 years isn't enough time to gain loyalty and trust.
It has nothing to do with loyalty and trust. It's liability. They do need supervision and insurance. The studio is in their name, and they don't want to be held responsible for anything bad that happens. Hilarious how these people are using an example of Channel Awesome being professional to accuse them of unprofessionalism.
Are you high?
Not any more than you, buddy. Venom also conveniently leaves out that Linkara admitted that using Doug's studio would not have even worked for him anyway, so this entire complaint doesn't mean anything.
Chaos D1 felt bullied as he was removed schedule access when he was a day late with the video due to his wife's medical emergency.
An emergency that he never told them about and admitted to in his chat log.
He was then fired without discussion shortly after.
Well, it usually helps not to shit-talk your boss behind their back on a public forum where everyone can see.
Despite many long-term producers often going months without an upload, and no punishment was administered whatsoever.
Look at that, he even admits that multiple producers weren't even doing their jobs, yet they want to complain about lack of promotion and the site being all about Doug.
But if you're still not sold on why this company is a pile of crap...
Oh, totally unbiased statement. Great journalism there, Venom.
Let's talk about Dr. Gonzo.
Oh god, no, not this freaking psycho again.
Gonzo was on the site from the very beginning, loving it at first, but it wouldn't last forever. After a while, people would respond to him a lot less. Left in the dark, Gonzo was confused as to why everyone was ignoring him.
Because he's freaking crazy.
It's worth noting that this part is actually only hearsay, it's not 100%, so we cannot confirm if this part is actually true.
Oh, okay, so now you care about being unbiased and making sure people are telling the truth. Finally. I mean, it took us 49 minutes into the entire documentary to get there, but better late than never.
In January of 2014, one of the producers, Justin Carmichael, who went by the name Juario, committed suicide by shooting himself in the head with his wife on the other side of the door. Gonzo didn't know him that well, but Justin was extremely well respected, and Gonzo wanted to do an online wake where everyone could get together to say a few words about him. But he approached Mashad, who told him that he wouldn't have to worry about it. But Mashad then continued, "Nobody knows who you are. They won't care about anything you're going to put together. We're going to have Doug or Lewis or someone put something together. Someone people actually come here to see." He wasn't allowed to pay tribute to a lost friend because it wouldn't get views.
They were not friends. He barely knew the guy. He clearly says so in the document. In fact, Venom, didn't you just say not 20 seconds ago,
Gonzo didn't know him that well. Gonzo didn't know him that well. Gonzo didn't know him that well.
But now you're acting as though they were friends. Like, what kind of documentary is this? You keep contradicting yourself, man. Plus, Gonzo's doing the very same thing that he's accusing Mashad of. He's the guy who wants to do a wake for someone he doesn't even know.
Topher from Full Fantastic was quite young at the time, just 16 years old, and he was going through some personal problems as he had only just discovered that he was actually gay. He confided in Holly with the information, requiring time away to sort things out. After some time away, he was ready to come back, even buying new equipment, but without warning, his work had been completely removed from the website.
Because he didn't upload anything for months and didn't talk to anyone, so that's his own fault.
In fact, Mike Dodd was responsible for Blistered Thumbs, and once that flopped, he was let go, but Dodd was never informed. He had to be told through his friend Tom White.
Alright, also I believe Mike Dodd was waiting for his password too, so I think he's online right now, but...
I mean, that's the one person where you might not be bringing in, so...
You do know that recording someone else's voice without their consent is a federal crime, right?
Tom White held a contest and was going to offer a prize, but Mashad stepped in and offered his Sega Genesis as a reward. One guy from Russia won it, and Mashad promised that he sent it off immediately. However, months passed and the guy never received the prize, so of course Tom White was stuck in the middle, contacting Mashad for information, but he was ignored constantly, so Tom had to send the winner a gift card instead.
Well, that's on him. I mean, he could have gone and gotten his fan a Genesis himself, but he just sat on it for months and did nothing. He's not a victim here.
They all had to produce at least 2 videos a month, but Tom was struggling with his personal life and contacted Mashad's brother Greg to warn him that it may be late, which he said was fine. In December 2016, he got his first one done early and his second by the 30th, but it needed more tweaking and scheduled it for January the 1st. But that one extra day was enough. He was removed from the site with his login completely revoked the next day.
Dude, do you not read anything that you put in your videos? The guy was late for an entire month. The very chat that you're showing us clearly says that Tom did not inform the site that he would be late for so long, and he clearly admits that it was his own fault.
I should also point out, and I can't reveal my source or names at their request, but Doug would very often imply that he just wouldn't watch anybody else's content on the website, and if you even suggested it, he would find it an absurd suggestion.
It is an absurd suggestion. I mean, there were like 50 people on that site. They really think Doug was going to sit there and watch every single person's videos? Like, he has his own schedule and his own videos to make people. He doesn't have time to babysit you.
Doug also never required filming permits, nor did he check any opening times beforehand, so they arrived to shoot in a park, but it was closed. They broke in to shoot, and if anyone questioned it, they were told to shut up.
They broke into... No. No, that's a complete lie.
It turns out we got there 10 minutes early, so the place wasn't open yet. So we decided to get the team breakfast and headed out to our location. The area we were originally supposed to film in got flooded, so we had to keep principal photography to the narrow street.
Yeah, they didn't break in anywhere. Where are you getting this information? What kind of documentarian are you?
They were given no blankets or anything during the long cold shoots outside.
Oh no, that's horrible. I mean, if only Doug and Rob gathered all of these people into a room together and told them that the shoot was going to be difficult and let them choose whether or not they wanted to... Wait. Then Venom derails his documentary that's supposed to be about Channel Awesome and its producers to spend time talking about himself.
I also want to take this time to talk about my personal experience with Channel Awesome, as some people are still a bit confused as to what went down.
He applied to be on Channel Awesome and was turned down. He then got into a controversy for saying some kind of gay slur. Yeah, nobody cares. Get back to Channel Awesome, please. Then he talks about how Tamara Chambers recorded an intro for his videos.
Hi, my name is Tamara Chambers, and this is Cinematic Venom.
And then the controversy happened, and Venom started making videos mocking Channel Awesome, to which the ex-producers enjoyed.
Cinematic Venom's in the room. Love you too. Your skits from last year really gave me life.
So he made more, and then Tamara reached out to him on his Twitter to tell him not to use her intro anymore.
Upon tweeting, Tamara harshly and publicly insulted me and claimed that she wanted me to take it down, and she had no idea why I would think she was being nice.
You literally insulted her job, her company, and her friends. What did you expect? But she apologized to him.
It wasn't until I pointed out that I was a patron of hers that she apologized, removed the tweet, and messaged me privately, blaming her actions on her manic depression. I was a huge fan of hers, and I didn't want to believe that she was being nasty, so I accepted this apology. But I was at the stage where I was hurt that one of my inspirations had lashed out.
I don't care, Venom.
Malcolm and Tamara, again, I believe, were unaware of any of this, but they handled this really badly. When Channel Awesome issued their response, people tweeted them about it, not buying their nonsense, and they would ignore any complaint, simply replying with "read," which came across as closed-minded and arrogant. They disregarded all of the people who were hurt by what this company did and just said "read" as if their claims were nothing. And Malcolm's defense was, I've been on their sets and it's always been professional, and I believe that too. I believe they've changed. So what's wrong with just saying we've learned from our mistakes and we're sorry for the past?
Why would Malcolm and Tamara need to apologize for anything? They have nothing to do with any of this.
I think just a lot of us want a fucking apology. I want Mike Michaud to just own up to the fact that he fucked up. I don't want a non-apology. I don't want to be told, oh, I'm sorry you feel that we did a shitty job. I don't want to hear that. I just want to hear an apology. I want a sincere fucking apology from you guys. It's not that hard. Just 2 words, I'm sorry. We're sorry.
Who the fuck is that guy? Who the fuck is that?
Since the posting of the Not So Awesome document on Monday, April 2nd, 2018, we have been exploring all of our options of how to address the lies that have been alleged by multiple disgruntled individuals with vindictive intentions. See, last time they said, oh, we're sorry that you felt that way, and now they're full on calling them liars. They're ignoring all of their pain. I don't understand.
No way. You mean people won't apologize to you when you lie about them? I never would have guessed.
Did all of these people just wake up one day, you know what? Let's destroy a company today because why not? They're lovely people, but, you know, I just feel like ruining their lives, ruining their careers. Why not, lol?
You know, no cap, I genuinely do believe that that's what happened.
Furthermore, one actor, again, I can't say without revealing my sources, was replaced by another, but the script never changed. They literally just changed the character's name, but the dialogue all remained the same. And this was even done in Suburban Nights. Todd wasn't supposed to be in it, Lord Cat was. Once they swapped, the dialogue was all exactly the same with some improvisations on the day.
Oh my god. An actor was unable to reprise his role, so he was replaced with another actor. That's like what movies do. Man, you people have the most irritating habit of just taking something completely mundane and trying to make it seem horrible.
Finally responded to Tamara and Malcolm, who I now had a problem with. I hated how they responded to people. Malcolm denied all claims and stated that it all must have happened before he joined, which Holly refuted entirely. They both still called everyone liars and defended the company.
Of course they defended the company. It's their job. They actually signed contracts to be there. So let me get this straight. You have spent this entire video being completely sympathetic to non-employees who worked with Channel Awesome for free, but now when it's an actual employee who had nothing to do with this controversy and it's actually his full-time job, you decide to criticize him for going along with his company? The way this guy and others treated Malcolm and Tamara was just horrible. Can you imagine, like, being harassed for things that you had nothing to do with before you even worked for a company? Neither of those two are in any position to make any change happen. In fact, Venom has exposed himself as a complete hypocrite, because earlier in the video he says that all you gotta do is apologize for all wrongdoings and all is well.
So what's wrong with just saying we've learned from our mistakes and we're sorry for the past? That's okay. That's all you have to do.
Well, Tamara apologized to you privately, but because you didn't like the way the company responded to the controversy, you proceeded to insult her and her friend in a diss track.
I was stuck for your puppet to her on your paycheck. Never once did I attack them in any sketch. Until they attacked me and blamed it on depression. For you attention seekers, how about I teach a lesson? When I look up to you and get excited when you saw my channel and you began typing. So I was tweeting only for my heart to drop, because you blast me publicly like a nasty knob. And then say sorry, it's my depression's fault. When you just made mine worse, so I guess I can't hold. Nope. And if this fitting song you find offensive, sorry, can't help it, it's my depression. And bear in mind, I was giving her my money and she still turned around and she still acted scummy. And as soon as she realised I was a patron buddy, a bogus apology was given and they're funny. But hey, don't harass, I don't condone abuse, but don't dish it out if you can't take it too.
Yeah, we here at Change the Channel don't condone harassment. But if you do get harassed, we don't care. In fact, you defended Doug Walker, so that means that you deserve it. Class act, buddy. Just apologize and all is solved. I mean, what were you expecting Malcolm and Tamara to do, exactly? Quit their jobs in protest due to what you perceive as abusive behavior?
Tamara blocked me too after the diss track, but Malcolm and myself did exchange some words. To which, honestly, Malcolm, I'd like to apologise for. I did resort to some immature name-calling, and I'm sorry for that.
Why are you apologizing to Malcolm here? Apologize to him personally on Twitter. He's not going to watch this. I have no idea why you added this to your documentary and started talking about yourself, because it makes you look like kind of a prick. I mean, you do not look good or any better than how you're trying to portray Channel Awesome at all.
But if my friend was doing things this douchey, I would call him out on it. Even if you haven't seen it, if people are accusing him, you got to take that seriously, because these are serious allegations. 40 plus people saying all this stuff, they're not all lying.
So, just because a large amount of people agree on something doesn't make them right. By that logic, the Flat Earth Society is right.
So there you have it. Petty issues, or a lot of severe reasons.
Or it's petty issues. I mean, you grab 40 people from anywhere, you're probably going to come up with a lot of complaints. Channel Awesome was created by a bunch of people who didn't know what they were doing, running a company, and brought on a bunch of other people who also didn't know what they were doing to work for them for free. I mean, it's really not that deep. This was doomed to fail.
Do you still watch Bill Cosby comedy specials? Didn't you all boycott Jeepers Creepers 3 because of what the director did? And weren't you all outraged at Logan Paul for the Suicide Forest stuff? Why is Channel Awesome any different?
But we're gonna look at it from both sides.
So that was a fucking lie.
This documentary sucked, dude. Like, I know I have the power of hindsight in the current year, but even back in 2019, I would not have liked this video. I mean, it was just an hour-and-a-half long propaganda piece for Change the Channel that masqueraded as an unbiased take of the controversy. Cinematic Venom takes everything in the document at face value, he interjects his own personal opinions, he rarely ever tried to look at anything from Channel Awesome's perspective, he gets many details wrong, he flat out insults and mocks the company and spends a good chunk of the video, which is supposed to be about Channel Awesome, talking about himself and how he harassed and insulted their employees. Oh, but it's okay because he apologized to them in his video that the employees aren't even going to watch. Luckily for him, this was when the many lies of the movement weren't looked into heavily enough and nobody really had the patience to read through 70 pages of whining, so there were still some people who were naive enough to believe them. The documentary was a success and it went viral within a week. It did so well to the point where ex-Channel Awesome contributors would actually get in contact with Cinematic Venom, pretty much kissing his ass and praising his documentary, and they actively encouraged him to make more videos about the controversy. And make more videos he did. He would constantly do skits making fun of Channel Awesome, he'd do responses to Channel Awesome fans mocking them, he would write the aforementioned diss tracks about Channel Awesome, he would even proceed to join in with the former Channel Awesome producers to harass and insult Channel Awesome staff online, and he would constantly suck up to the former producers and defend them, especially Alison Pregler. The high that this man got off the fame and the attention from this anti-Channel Awesome stance he took was palpable. Rob legitimately thought that he had it made, like he was in with an exclusive club, like he was a famous YouTuber, like he finally made it and his dream came true.
change the channel. Let's get the unsubscribe train going again. But I don't want people to forget about this movement again like last year. The whole reason of the documentary was to get people talking about change the channel again and get it moving. So that's what we need to do. So just spread the word.
Looks like this was the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Change the channel have done everything Channel Awesome are guilty of. Protected a sexual predator, made up lies about people, twisted things out of context, put the blame elsewhere and denied absolutely any wrongdoing whatsoever, showed clear signs of manipulation, sexism, disregard of mental health, and violent bullying. It seems that Change the Channel aren't too different to the people that they set out to destroy. They never wanted an apology. I'm done with you all. You are nothing to me anymore. You can't hurt me any further. It's time to change the channel to someone else.
Okay, well, that's one hell of a 180. Alright, what happened?
What the hell happened to me? I used to be the clown prince of comedy.